GPS on the smaller planes is a different system, which I'm really not worried about either. This is the ideal flight control or autopilot system that we would be building. This would be for the commercial ones. This is a panel one, so that's a nice looking panel. The radio stack here, we will be bigger than that. We will be the 2 high on each of them, and we'll probably put in the other radios as well. There's a couple of other radios. This plane doesn't seem to have them. And what you were saying about the other day in your email about like switches that won't work and that, yeah, there's a whole bunch of switches. If you had a proper control panel for this plane, you'd have a whole bunch of switches that wouldn't work anyway. I presume they just ignore them when the switches don't work. So that's all I gotta say about that. I'm gonna pause you now for a second, and I'm gonna jump into the Concorde. Okay, here we are back again. So this is the Concorde. Now the reason I'm showing you this one is because this is one of the few ones that has a complete, or a close to probably complete set of buttons of what you would be using for the fly, probably most of the planes. The bigger planes in that get into huge weirdly hydraulic systems for air conditioning and everything else. So they would be just custom that we would just make for people if they got too weird. This one itself, here, mousy, it's pretty cool. This is all of the planes I have are all downloaded off xplane org. Like I said, I didn't buy any of them. Eventually I'll buy 1 or 2 just to see what we're dealing with it. Or get in touch with some of the manufacturers and see if they'd be willing to throw us a bone at that as well. Another thing as well, the main panel that we're going to be building, that we're going to sell, the all-in-one one, will have to be plug and play. We can't really get it where it's going to be, people are going to have to assemble it and program it themselves. It won't work. It won't work on any sales level. Any of the panel ones will be no problem with that, because them guys will be into it because they're building their own cockpits and they're spending a cartload of money on it. But the smaller ones in that, we're actually just trying to sell a cheaper setup that would be plug and play. So we're going to have to get around whatever licensing or anything else. So this is, let me zoom in a little bit. So this is the 3D view in this plane. This is where you start off with. So you got your panel up here on the roof, which has most of the buttons, but fire extinguishers and all of that other stuff. Come on, mouse. So you can see most of the panels up there. Can I move away from that? There we go. Oh, Jesus, I'm under the seat now. You can see there's the panel on the roof, but at the same time, that's just radios and buttons and everything else. So you pretty much have everything from de-icing and most of the main panels seem to all have your de-icing, all your light switches and all that on the roof. That's the other light warning panel. And then this plane in here, wait a little bit. God, don't do that. There you go. I don't have enough hands. So this one here, you can see most of the clocks and everything else. The only real clocks you're going to ever be using is these. But because these clocks are real, these gauges here do work. And these are the problems that I have when I'm flying. It's when you're flying along and I'm trying to set that to find the heading and then still not crash the plane. And when the plane moves, these just keep doing this and they go back and forward with you and stuff. I'll show you here. So this plane is probably one of the few, but this I do like. I found this in the back. So the back is their control panel. So this would be what we would build if we were going to build it, and they could break it up any way they want. I'll start it up. So it's just basically batteries, because there's 2 engines on this, which is pretty much going to be, you know, it's a 4-engine plane. What I'm talking about. Silly me. So you can see that both of them, the planes don't seem to go any more than 2 batteries in that. There will be 4 starters and 4 igniters down here, and 4 generators, because I guess you have a generator in each plane. But as it goes, buttons wise, we're not really that much different than our own dash. Bar stuff like these, which are going to be the air conditioning units up. Going to be the air conditioning units and stuff like that. I think this is fuel. This is air conditioning, or what do you call it, pressurization, and that. These are, you go blank out if you start the next plane if you go over a certain height. You don't turn these on. But you can see the buttons don't line up for me. See, you need a picker and to turn them on. So you have to be on the on sometimes. Sometimes the buttons are up here when you're hitting them. It's strange. So it becomes frustrating if you're doing anything you can't get. No smoking. What sort of plane on you'd have no smoking signs on it? Jesus, when was that built? Um, and then this radio as well is the same thing. It's a little button one. So they're a little finicky. It's okay when you're on the ground and you're programming them, but if you're going to do any... That's opening the doors, don't do that. So if you're going to be tuning or anything, and I'll show you not in this plane. I'll just show you, this is the basic startup feature on this plane. This one you don't turn the igniters off. A lot of planes you turn the igniters off after the turbine starts up. Don't know much about planes. Don't know much about the engines or reading up on them. I started getting involved into the whole game. So that's pretty much just how you start up one of these. After that, that's the flight control on the Concorde, which I haven't figured out. I crashed a half a dozen times trying to work this thing out. I just need for somebody or to read on the instructions and find out what it is, because for some reason or other they're like to call everything different in every plane. Not every plane, but it seems to be like 3 or 4 sets of them. So that's pretty much the Concorde. Geez, up and running. But you can see what I'm talking about by that back panel. That's a pretty cool panel that we could build all these gauges and everything work on these, and we would just chop them up into 8x6s and sell them as individuals. Like, I don't even know what these are. These are stabilizers. So, you know what I mean? I don't really... So, there's probably panels out there that I wouldn't even know that we would have to make. But we'll start off with... I made a list of 14 so far. Some of them are small. So, some of them are only going to be $30 and $40 things where they'll just be... like I said, the squawk thing. I mean, the squawk is only going to have 5 buttons on it. And if we do it properly with the LED, all of the panels we make should have the LEDs and that in them, full screens. Not like the straight up panel that we're making. We can make the straight up panel as a higher end one with all them gauges on it if somebody wants it. So it's just good. The price will go up where one panel will be $350. For the 2 side panels, it'll cost close on probably $500 with all the LEDs and that in, and that's only off the top of my head price wise. But the other thing is that any other panels that are out there, the overhead one, if we made one of these here into one of the overhead ones that I was looking at GoPro, I think they're selling theirs for, I think it's somewhere like $1,700, but it's just an overhead panel, and the panel